Hetepu, Namaste, Assalamu alaikum, Haru Nefer. This is Kasak Ma Keparu with another video for you. And in this video, I want to talk about the problem with black women. But before I do that, I want you to hit the like button on this video. And if this is your first time to my channel, welcome. Hit the subscribe button to get notifications on when I go live and when I upload recorded videos. So the problem with black women, all right, I think I have a unique perspective on this that I'd like to share with you. But first, let me give you a little bit about my background. I remember going to school at a very early age, and the students would give their perspective on race. And I remember I was somewhat reluctant to throw my hat in on that because many of my fellow students believed that, I wasn't black enough, or because of my background, I didn't have the right to speak on race. And this persisted through college with student groups or student unions, where even close friends really didn't want to hear from me because they just felt that I wasn't black enough to talk about the experience. Even though I was very heavily into African American history and even African religions. And I think because I got this type of pressure or attitude from my fellow students and friends, that it made me want to dive more deeply into my history. So maybe it was a good thing. But let's talk about this situation with black women. As we know, there's a type of gender war going on with YouTube or online. We have black men and black women going back and forth. And I don't want to really add to that, but I just want to, again, talk about my unique perspective on the problem with black women. So the problem is this. It deals directly with black women's attitude. Let me clarify. Their attitude toward their issue. You see, when you look back in history, at the very beginning, early stages, you have to understand that when you're looking at the African family, that is the model by which nations were built. Because in the African tradition, the family was seen as a stepping stone toward the building of a nation. In fact, if you were a young man, you would have to prove that you could maintain a very loving and functional family unit before you could ascend to kingship, because one was just a reflection of the other. And the basis of how children were raised, how the nation functioned, came directly from black women. And more importantly, when we look at it, the religious institutions, the very first priests were priestesses, African women, black women. They were the ones that disseminated the word of God because they were the first diviners. So you have to understand that men by nature are left brain, women are right brain, and specifically people of color are very right brain. So black women, African women, had the ability to connect easily with source energy, to tap into that right hemisphere of the brain and to intuit wisdom and knowledge, which they would impart to the family unit and by default to the nation. So again, the very first priests were black women. But if we move forward in history, we'll also note that the Middle Ages, there was the witch hunts and the witch trials where white women were persecuted for practicing Wiccan, which they took from black women. They were the ones that picked up the mantle to carry on, and they paid a heavy price for it, being burned at the stake. And then we go further, we'll see that through slavery, black women were raped, abused, and forced to give birth to mixed race babies. And the plantation owner, the slave master, denied that they were his sons and daughters. And by doing so, the inheritance of the plantation and the wealth was never transferred over to the mixed race children who should have, by right, have inherited that wealth. So black women were denied the opportunity to financially advance or to be in a position to take care of their children. And many times the family unit was broken up, where black women's babies were torn from their hands and sold. I say all of this for a reason, that many black women today are jumping on board feminism, the fifth wave of feminism, because they believe that it addresses their issues of being oppressed, when it doesn't. You see, white women have a unique problem that they're dealing with. And black women, you have a very unique history. You were the first woman. You were the Eve of the Bible. In fact, the anthropologist Louis Leakey, when he wanted to trace back and find the first woman, he found fossils, and he called her Lucy, and that was the basis of the movie with Scarlett Johansson. But the African people called her Date Niche. So there's a legacy in history that's very unique for you, black women, that you have not addressed. This is why I feel that you should create a movement of your own. We are seeing now where this movement called ADOS, American Descendants of Slaves, is now petitioning our government for reparations. And I believe you, black women, can petition our government for wealth that did not rightfully transfer over to you or to your children from the slave master or the slave plantation. You were the first Eve. You are the Mary of the Bible, the Virgin Mary. You are the sleeping beauty. No, you are the sleeping giant. It's time to wake up and let the world know about your uniqueness. This is Kasank Keperu, son of Ma'at and Tootie. My aunt is a beautiful goddess, Heteru. Till my next video, Amen Ra.